Hey, I'm Marina.
And I'm Emily.
And I've seen everything in the Sex and the City empire 10,000 times.
And I'm starting fresh.
So I'll be woman-splaining the show.
And I'm along for the ride.
But there's a twist. We are starting with And Just Like That and working our way back to the beginning.
So in other words, we're watching it backwards and in high heels.
This is City and the Sex. Hey, you made it. You made it to episode freaking 9. We'll get into it. Does this even count as an episode? Debatable.
It's like a quote, a very special episode of It Just Like That.
A very it's like a, you know what drives me crazy? It's like it could have been a bottle episode. It could have been like that Central Park episode that Allison Williams has in Girls, and instead it's just this.
What could have been? What a great pitch, though. A bottle episode in the Gramercy house.
Yes, that's just the present tension.
Ooh, look at you.
With Aidan and Carrie. Because I want more. I want more. But yeah, this is And Just Like That, season 3, episode 9, present tense. Emily, what was your one word?
Sayonara.
Yeah. I have 2 one words. Okay. They're both belabored.
Okay.
My first one word is, yeah, sure, change the format now.
Okay. All right.
Because they are have been trying to stick to Sex and the City, which is we resolve everything every episode, which they didn't have to do.
Yeah.
And now we're not resolving anything episode to episode. This is a 3-part episode because other plots weren't even really fully resolved.
No. So this was all a waste of our time.
I guess we're just changing the format now. Okay. And then my other one word is...
Oh, no.
So stupid. 2 steaks, seasoned, never cooked. I mean, that's pretty good. Come on, it's me and Hemingway up there. Actually, to make it 6 words, it should be 2 steaks, fully seasoned, never cooked.
There it is. I mean, do we even need an episode? Do we need, this is where we play the music, right? Because we're done. We're done. I mean, that was the episode recap and discussion and response to it all in one. I think you've nailed it. I don't think we're ever going to top that.
I apologize if I've said this story on the pod. I definitely told you the story, Emily, but if I said it on the pod once before, ignore me for repetition. But one time recently, my mom asked me to help her with a speech she had to do for this organization. And so she sent me her script and then I sent it back fully rewritten. And she called me and she went, "Wow, I knew you were good, but not that good." And I was like, it is technically what I make a living doing, but sure. And this is the second proof of that.
Yep. This is this is going on your packet. This is going on your resume. It's yeah.
Can you imagine getting a resume that's just Marina DiMarzo and then my phone number and then 2 steaks, fully seasoned, never cooked?
It's the header, instead of saying education or work experience, it's just good jokes I've made.
Yeah, exactly. And that is what my comedy resume looks like. Okay. Well, let's get into it. And Just Like That, season 3, episode 9, present tense. I say we start with all the side characters since they all get one scene. Literally one scene.
Thank God their plots didn't resolve at the end of last episode, so we can see the thrilling continuation and finale of them in this episode.
And then some of them don't even end in this episode. Big ol' shrug. We start with Charlotte and Harry's one scene.
Okay.
Which has got to be the most depressing one. Yes. They're at home. Harry obviously is recuperating from his freaking prostate cancer surgery. A pretty major surgery.
Yeah.
Put a pin in that. Charlotte is recovering from her vertigo. And she's up trying to sort of put things away. And Harry's like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be getting up, until the medication kicks in. And she's like, I'm sorry, but I can't have vertigo and this mess. Relatable. And then she's like, the kids are supposed to be taking care of us and they've completely abandoned us. And Harry's like, you're right. They have abandoned us. And I was like, elder abuse.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then Harry exclaims that he is proud because he managed to pee without a catheter, which is an achievement. Yeah. And Charlotte is so proud that it sends her to the floor, where the only person to help her is the dog. Sad.
This is grim. Don't like it. It's so funny because it's like, I remember watching this and being like, this would definitely have ended up on the cutting room floor if this had remained one continuous episode, number 89. Yes. This would have been cut. But I guess we had to put it here because we had to add fluff to Charlotte Harry's plotline. Okay, but the next scene we're going to see is going to be the conclusion. Whatever, I'll let it slide. That was the last we see of them for the whole episode.
And I guess it'll be resolved next episode, ? We'll find out. I think
we'll never hear the word vertigo ever again.
Never again. I feel like you've tapped on something here, which is I think what happened, I think you're spot on. What happened is they cut together the last episode and then they wanted to, dedicate 20 minutes to the breakup. Right. And then they were like, now the episode is 1 hour and 20. So we'll keep the breakup. We'll keep the Anthony Giuseppe scene and the deodorant scenes and we'll cobble an episode out of that.
Yeah.
Because everything else that is not that feels a little sure.
I guess this will happen now.
I guess this is canon now.
Yeah.
That's Charlotte. This is the quickest pod episode we've ever done.
We're not even 10 minutes in. We're done with her. All right.
Okay, Miranda, who also has one scene. Which actually is a good scene, I'll say.
Yeah.
So Miranda's at home with Joy, and Joy notices the missing gin from the last episode, which Miranda, threw down the trash chute. And basically Miranda's tries to sort of come up with an excuse oh, I think my maid took it or whatever, and then decides to come clean about her alcoholism. And Joy does a little bit of a fake out where she's like, that's going to be a problem. And Miranda's like, I'll see myself out. And then she's like, it's going to be a problem because I don't like feeling bad about myself. And when I feel bad about myself, I usually escape to a drink. And so they sort of connect on, I guess, that they have emotional baggage. And then they have this little sort of metaphor repartee where Joy is like, I guess I did bring my baggage. And Miranda's like, well, I've got a spare room. And then Joy's like, well, I've got trunks. And she's like, I have room.
Yeah, I think this is a lovely scene. I think the whole gin plot really has been done just fine. I think if this plot was in an episode of Sex and the City, if this was a Miranda plot for a Sex and the City episode, I wouldn't have batted an eye. Do you know what I mean? This feels completely quote unquote normal.
Well, it hits the good balance of good, something real, but also kind of fun. Not that I'm saying alcoholism is fun, but they have their fun with like Samantha and Cancer, the waiting room episode, being stuck waiting for a doctor for months is a brutal reality. And then they are able to throw the nun in there and make it sweet and make it kind of funny, let's laugh at the unfortunate things of life. You know what I mean? It really strikes that balance.
Yeah. So, shame that's only one episode or one scene.
Congrats.
But good job. You came out the most unscathed, Miranda.
Yeah. How about we go to the person who came out the most scathed, which is
okay.
my man, Chris Jackson. First of all, shame on everyone.
Yeah. For letting this happen.
He is in 2 scenes in this episode. Unfortunately, they should have given him just the one so we could have at least pretend it didn't happen. And they disgrace his name and George Washington's name both times.
Anytime they do this, I'm like, that's my president. How dare you?
How dare you?
He's done nothing wrong. And the slow, steady drumbeat of character assassination that is happening to him I won't tolerate it. I'm not on board with it. It's not canon. I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He's been nothing but the best husband on the show after they murdered my boy Steve and murdered my boy Harry. I'm like, all I have left is Chris Jackson. And they're like now making him annoying. And I'm like, is this going to lead to a divorce? Because I can't take that.
No.
Can't take that. Christ. All right. Chris Jackson has a meltdown over cheese. Followed by a subsequent meltdown over angel hair pasta. And basically, he's freaking out because he lost 20 pounds and he wants to keep the 20 pounds off because he is eternally running for comptroller. I'm like, wouldn't it be funny if like comptroller isn't even up for another like 4 years? And he's also, just like... Yeah.
And he's just way ahead of the game, you know. Also, it's like, again, we've talked about this before because comptroller is like... New York is probably the only city where this race is even known by anyone. And even then, it's like really only known by people who are like very civically minded and like involved in their elections. And I have a really hard time, Chris Jackson, believing that this is going to derail your campaign.
Yeah. I don't
make
know.
You look bad.
I think no one's paying attention. Hate to say it.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Anyway, then we get into this disgraceful exchange where he pulls out these like Nutter Butter kind of popsicle ice cream type thing from the fridge. And he's like, who are these? And then the son is like, those are mine. And he's like, how can you eat these? And then the son goes, I'm not fat, to his father. And then LTW, instead of being like, hey, let's not talk to your father that way, she goes, just go on Ozempic like everyone else. As if it's like, I don't know, a ginseng supplement.
Right, exactly. Because these are bougie rich people and they, you know, they get ADHD from their friend sitting over there in the corner. They can get their Ozempic off speed dial, whatever. Like, I mean, every line of this thing falls flat to me and I don't know. I mean, everything else we've discussed, I think, was just like a cobbled togetherness of we need to make an episode out of this. If I'm going to guess anything that was written to fill time, it might be this one because, like, I don't remember this being set up before about the cheese and the weight all of a sudden. I don't think we're ever going to hear about it ever again.
See, I think this is how they're going to address Ozempic, which is, like, so painful to me. Like, because that's the kind of topic that would be ripe for this show.
And they're going to do it wrong.
And they have fucking already stumbled and tripped over it.
Yeah.
By making it like this like joke. It's like, I don't know. I didn't think it was funny. I'll just put it like that. I didn't think it was funny.
No, me neither.
And then we get a second hit of it because we cut to LTW with Mary and they're editing, you know, the docuseries, and then Herbert calls and he's like, I've gained a pound. And LTW rightly is like, I'm at work. And then she's incorrectly like, and Ozempic. Love you. Okay.
They're making Chris Jackson a nasty man in order to really make us root for some kind of dalliance that's going to happen with Marion. And I'm not on board with this. I'm not on board with anybody.
Yeah, I'm not on board either. Also because like, I don't know. Is this not Charlotte's thing? Is Charlotte's thing not that she has the sort of like unexpected husband choice visually? Do you know what I mean? Like Chris Jackson has always been attractive and has always been nice.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Harry wasn't nice. I'm just saying like Harry was sort of like an odd duck who you wouldn't expect to see with Charlotte. Like that's the whole comedy of that, whatever. Right. But like, that's the person she needs. That's why they work. Here I'm like, I'm watching them gaslight me yet again into thinking Chris Jackson is like annoying and not hot, and the comptroller thing, which she forced him to run for in the first place.
Yeah, it's like they're really scrambling, I think, to try and make him a naggy and unpleasant husband in order to make us really sympathize with what's going on with Marion. And what I have to say to that is like, I don't even think that's necessary, honestly. Like, I think it is actually was much more interesting when you just had a crush on your coworker. You don't have to like resent your husband. Your husband doesn't have to be annoying to like drive you to have these feelings about another person that you like work with or is in your space. I think it's actually would be so much more interesting if it is like, you know, you're married to this person for decades, you have kids with them or whatever. Are you just going to never be attracted to somebody else? Are you just never going to feel those butterflies ever again? Like, what happens when you do? And you do love your husband, but like, you can't just pretend you don't have butterflies, right? So, like, I think that could have been perfectly fine without having to, like, try to backwards justify it, kind of, by, like, making Chris Jackson, giving him all these problems that I'm, like, just not buying out of nowhere.
Yeah, I feel like what they did last season with them is they just like dumped a bunch of drama on their relationship. Like we had like and big drama, like the miscarriage and stuff like that. And then they just like moved on. And then here they were like, oh, that was too serious. So we'll just keep giving Chris Jackson problems.
Yeah.
Forgetting that he's Chris Jackson.
Yeah. Right.
And those are the 2 episodes. I pray to God that's the only Ozempic that's in this season, because God knows they're not going to talk about it right.
No. No. I mean, look what they did with, like, Adderall.
God.
Lord knows what's going to happen if they get their hands on Ozempic.
Lord knows. And that's LTW.
All right. Thank God we're done. Okay. Sayonara.
Sayonara. I'm going to jump ahead to Anthony, and then I'll do Sema, since Sema has more of a plot. Put a big pin in that. Compared to
what a generous thing to say.
She has 4 scenes. Okay. So we finally get the showdown between Anthony and Giuseppe's mom, and I'll just run through it.
Yeah.
He's like, do you like the risotto? I spent all night seasoning it. And she's like, oh yeah. And then salts it in front of him. And then she notices that the salt shakers are Tom of Finland, in the art style of Tom of Finland, which is like a very famous sort of gay art style, which are those really hot, buff guys that are usually doing like service jobs, like cop and whatever. It's like a very famous artist. That made me laugh. I was like, ha, 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 gotta teach the kids.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned something new. I didn't know there was a name for that. Tom of Finland.
I only learned because I would go to the inappropriate section of the photography section of the Strand. Oh, and I like stumbled across the book and I was like, what is this? And then I was like, that's a penis.
God bless.
So that's how I found out. Anyway, we get the justification here, which we knew all along, which is that she had her, relationship with her 30-year age gap and had a big love affair. But then at the peak of her life, she turned into a full-time nurse. And she doesn't want that for Giuseppe. She's given him beautiful art, villas. We have 3. What do you offer? And Anthony's like, well, I love your son. And then she makes the 180 turn that, frankly speaking, we've been waiting for her to make. If she had carried through on the hilaria of it all, it would have this turn would have been funnier.
Yeah.
But whatever. Yeah. She makes the turn and she's like, let's cut the shit. Name a price for you to get the fuck out of Giuseppe's life. And he's like, you know what? You're not Gianna from Italy. You're not even Gia from Buffalo. You're my crazy aunt, the bearded lady from Boston. And like, you're trying to manipulate me. And then she freaks out, throws the meal on the floor. At this point, the subtle Michael Patrick King opera that has been playing in the background, because it's Italian and it is opera, they have slowly raised the level of, because it's the Michael Patrick King School of Filmmaking. And I do love Anthony gets one good line here, which is, someone needs a therapist. No, any?
Good. Very good.
Hit me with the same electricity as that one scene is when Charlotte invites those guys over and they say something like, I don't know, the Nazis had a little bit right. And he just goes like, get out! And it cuts.
Oh, yeah.
Same like intensity.
Yeah.
Yes. Anthony in his bag here, like Mario Cantone, I have nothing negative to say to you, literally ever.
His back must hurt from caring so much.
This fucking show. Then, of course, she goes like, oh, I'm so sorry, and like goes to pick up, clean up. But then when she stands up holding the knife, Giuseppe walks in the door, and then they crank that opera up 2 notches higher because, again, we are in the Michael Patrick King School of Theater. And then she, unfortunately for Patty, hate to say it, God, and my Italian is not that great either, but hers is rough. She basically says like, I cannot support this. I'm leaving. And when you're done with this chapter, we'll never speak of it again. And then after she leaves, Anthony's like, what did she say? And Giuseppe's like, oh, she said thank you. And I do love that Anthony's like, yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah.
And that is the scene.
And that's it. God. Yeah, a couple positive things. I do love that they actually do a couple things that we had talked about, and they actually like address them and make them real, right? Like, she is just some random person from Buffalo, and this is all an act. And also, we talked last time about how she, like, dated, or she got married too young to this much older man, and she's projecting all of this stuff onto him, and we're like, look at yourself. You became, like, a therapist, or whatever. Like, I do like that they actually kind of address it, and, like, that's great. The negatives for this, I will say, is just, like, first of all, I think the Hilaria thing should have been, like, from the start, the joke, as we talked about. Drop the therapist thing, whatever. Just, like, actually make her full-on Hilaria Baldwin, and, like, play into that and her, like, weird choices for doing that. Number one. Number two, this also just, like, throws a cold bucket of water over this scene that they had with Carrie and her last episode, where they tried to make her, like, some sage woman giving Carrie advice, being like, don't change for them, do whatever. And it's like, now we know that she's an actual raving lunatic. It just, like, makes the whole thing hilarious. Number two, where am I even in the list? Number three, also, just, like, you're talking about the Michael Patrick School of, like, filmmaking and theater or whatever. This is a perfect example of, like, the just... You watch it and you're like, this is pretty good for, like, a first attempt at a student film. You know what I mean? You're like,
God, get him.
The fact that this is the HBO final approved version of the scene is crazy to me. Just in, like, the back and forth and her suddenly deciding, oh no, what have I done? So she can pick up the knife so that Giuseppe can walk in, and then she immediately goes back to being angry. So the, oh no, what have I done moment only comes out just so she could pick up the knife. You know what I mean? Like, 75% of the jokes in this show are, whoops, that's an awkward moment to walk in on.
Yeah.
Like, that is most of the punchlines. That is actually maybe a conservative estimate of the amount of jokes where that's the punchline. And this is that, and it is so annoying to just watch them, like, go at it, and we're like, yes, let's fight, and then she has to do a 180 and go, oh, I'm so sorry, what have I done? So she can pick up the knife. And I'm like, you know what, I actually do want Patti LuPone to pick up the knife and, like, come at Anthony and Giuseppe to walk in. Like, let's go crazy.
Yeah, 100%. It would be funnier.
Yeah. It's funnier than so awkward, what a misunderstanding to walk in on, you know?
I agree. Again, I agree with you that, like, at least they did address certain things here. It just feels a little sort of, like, cobbled.
Yeah.
And again, it's just, like, the waste of the cameos. Although she's, like, at this point, she's, like, guest star, whatever. I don't know the rankings. You got to call Rachel for that. But, you know, like, I feel like it's, like, a waste. I honestly hope this isn't the last we see of her. I'm, like, hoping there's going to be a scene where she, like, comes around and accepts them and then, like, marries them. That's like my dream. God knows. I
know. That was a pretty sad excuse for a fun cameo, if that's how that ends.
Well, and then we get Sema, who gets a sort of ending, I guess. So Sema's at home with the gardener. I'm so excited. And
we're so thrilled. Did they change sets? Did she always have a skylight, by the way?
I'm not paying that close attention.
I was like,
anymore.
This room, I was like, something where I feel like everyone's room has shifted slightly, but I also feel like it's like a social experiment where it's like you change one thing in the room to see if someone notices. Yeah. I feel like that's what's happening with this show.
I do feel like it was a smaller room and now it has like a whole like living room section that I don't remember, but God knows.
Okay. Anyway, I'm just putting that out there. I see what you're doing. You can't trick me.
You can't get me. So he comes in all sauntry from the shower and he kisses her and she's like, ew, what's on your mouth? And he basically put the deodorant on his mouth to make a point that that's what happens when he does the armpit play, which at this point is hard confirmed.
Yeah, it's explicit.
I think my favorite moment, and I think this is the moment that they should show in filmmaking schools.
Okay.
This is the most Michael Patrick King school of filming I've ever seen. She is standing in the mirror.
Okay. Oh, yes. I know it's coming.
Looking at the deodorant egg. Looking at the mirror.
Yes.
looking at the deodorant egg. All she had to do was shrug and then wipe her armpit with it. But instead, out loud, she goes, I guess I'll try it out.
Yeah, as she's trying it out.
Why? I'm seeing you do it. I'm seeing you do it. You don't need to like punch the joke harder. I think I could do something called watch the show.
Yeah.
And know that, oh, I guess she's trying it out.
It's bonkers to me. My God. Can I also just say, it was like, this is a thing that I think is a perfect example of the MPK school of writing, because it is like, you have to say the thing you're doing. I guess cabs are sexy, she says, while she finds out that cabs are sexy, making out in a cab. Like, I guess I'll try it, she says, while trying it out. You know what I mean? There's just like, it makes you feel insane. Also, the editing of this, and I'm going to bring this up when we get to Carrie's too. I know we've already made this point about how this whole 2-episode situation was confusingly put together and something was going on behind the scenes. This was the first moment where I was like, something is like up, because we go from them in bed where he does the thing with the deodorant on his lips or whatever, and he hands her the deodorant egg and she takes it and tosses it playfully, and he like acts all like fake embarrassed, and she's like, ugh, you couldn't like, you know, like never or whatever. And they're like sort of like kiss, and she's like making fun of him. They're playful. The very next thing we see is like her playing with it in the bathroom, being like, maybe I should take it. You know what I mean? Just a completely different part of the way that it feels like it's 2 minutes later. Like it feels like she's just gotten up from the bed and is now in the bathroom. But if this scene had come later in the episode with something in between, I would buy that this was like a different day and she changed her mind.
I have to say, in general, the opening is very choppily edited from like, and I feel like part of it was driven by like Carrie sees Aidan and Duncan like hanging out in the garden, and then they were like, we need a scene here to break up the fact that Carrie joins them, because we can't show Carrie joining them for whatever reason. So then they put the Charlotte scene, or no, they put the Sema scene in there, and then they go back to Carrie and Aiden in the garden, and then we see the Charlotte scene, and then we go back to the Sema thing, and it's like, I feel like we just could have done all the Carrie garden stuff.
Yeah.
And then seen Sema, and then maybe thrown Charlotte in there somewhere. Like it just got, I agree. There's something about the sequence of, especially the opening of this episode, that's
scenes being mashed together back to back that I don't think were written to be back to back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but they have to be smushed because like some things have spilled over into this episode, and also they want like uninterrupted Carrie and Aiden later, or maybe they just in the edit felt that cutting between Carrie and Aiden and these other plots was tonal whiplash. And so they have fixed this problem by just like smushing Carrie and Aiden together. We'll get to that later and how much that worked. And then smushed other scenes together into these weird chunks, and they're not supposed to be like this. You know what I mean? It's very noticeable to watch. I'm really not trying to nitpick, but it is like, at this point, I'm like, the editing is a mess. Like, I can see the stress coming off the screen of the post-production team.
Yeah. Agree. So then Carrie hangs out with Sema at the new Patel Group headquarters, which I would argue are too big.
Yeah, for your new real estate group that has no employees currently.
It has literally 2 people. And I mean, our favorite assistant is there, who she got from Ravi. They don't explain why, and I don't care. I'm glad that this man has another gig.
Yeah, I'm glad he's getting paid, whatever.
And then, God, it's like, it just shows how out of tone they are, where Carrie's like, how did you get all this? And she's like, well, since people stopped coming to the office, like it's basically a sample sale. And it's like,
oh my God,
Hudson Yards is 95% occupied. Have you not read that corporate America has whiplashed back and we have all been forced back to our corporate chains? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, because remember, with the Adderall shortage, we're still in like 2021, so they're confused.
Right. I wanted to pose this question to you: what's worse?
Okay,
Shiro or she work?
Oh no!
Gun to your head. You're getting a tattoo of one. Are you getting Shiro or she work?
Or am I getting shot?
Yep, those are your 3 options, and they all begin with S. You're actually getting she-rot.
God damn it, Marina. God damn it. When you're cooking, you're cooking. Gas. Okay. I am getting a tattoo of Shiro. Because I think down the line I could turn that into a different word somehow.
Okay.
And she work, okay. I think I'm stuck.
Okay. I'm getting she work. I think just because Shiro makes me upset. There's something about it that just like viscerally makes me angry. Whereas like she work, I just think is like lazy. So again, get into my head, I'll get she work.
Yeah.
But I want it spelt work, not work.
Oh no. Yeah. God. I love that she does a little pirouette on her heels, like she's so proud of it, and then she leads Carrie to the table of their empty room. Like, this line was written for the trailer, but watching the scene play out makes it really funny.
Makes it painfully obvious. So then they talk a bit about Aiden, and we'll get to that later. But for Sema's plot, at the very end of her lunch with Carrie, the assistant comes in, and he says a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but in summary, he's like, remember that fancy person you wanted to get lunch with? I got you lunch with them. And she's like, great. And he's like, it's in 40 minutes on the Upper East Side. And they didn't tell us where this apartment is or office, but I guess I'm going to guess it's downtown because of the way she bolts out of there. And I do like Sarah Jessica Parker's line reading of like, when he's like, is that far?
Yeah.
And she's like, it's going to be tight. I thought that made me laugh. Made me chortle.
Yeah. I'm glad the assistant is getting paid. I do wonder if maybe this was the best hiring if he does not know Manhattan and he's a real estate assistant.
Yeah, and also, why did he leave London and Trump's America? Like, I feel like he just misread. Not that I'm here endorsing people move to Europe. I want to be very clear about my objective opinion of that. I'm just saying in a moment when Americans are fleeing, not me, other Americans are fleeing, it is funny to me that they completely missed the plot on this British man choosing to come here instead.
The British genderqueer brown man who's Gen Z is like, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
No more further comment on that. Okay. Right. So she gets to this lunch with this dude and he complains about the BO of the waiter. First of all, they make it very, at first I was like, oh, is the BO coming from Sema or the waiter? And then on second viewing, I'm like, oh, they Michael King Patrick School of Film making a film. They make it obvious that it is the waiter because the waiter like stretches over him.
Yeah.
And like puts his armpit in his face. And he like complains about the BO of the waiter. And I was like, well, that makes sense. He like got a full nose of it.
Yeah. You were doing armpit play.
Yeah. My other bit here is that she says that she ordered the truffle pizza in advance because it takes 45 minutes. And I just want to know what pizza takes 45 minutes.
The truffle pizza takes 45 minutes.
She's like, I ordered it in advance because it takes 45 minutes and you're a busy man. And
well,
I'm like,
this restaurant is really like fancy because they do this kitschy thing where they make all of your food in like an easy bake oven. And it's like, it's a really fun gimmick. It's really popular on Instagram. So.
Okay. So it takes an hour and a half.
Got it. It's being cooked with a light bulb.
Cool. And 2 hamsters on a wheel. Okay. So then she goes to the bathroom to apply deodorant because she's scared of the BO rubbing off, I guess. And then, of course, somebody's in the bathroom. And then the Michael Patrick King School of Comedy comes in again because she opens her purse. And it's like, I'm a person with a brain. I remember last episode that weird joke that made no sense about her having a travel deodorant. So then when she opens her purse and goes, where's my travel deodorant? I'm like, I heard it last time.
Yeah. And I see what you're doing. I know.
And then she puts it on in the hallway, and then a woman sees her, and she's like, I'm not that woman. I'm not this woman. And you are, Blanche. You are.
Oops, what an embarrassing moment to walk in on.
What
did I say?
Join now, and for 4 easy payments of $3,199, you too can attend the Michael Patrick King School of Filmmaking.
For $2, we'll tell you one of his tricks. Sign up for more.
God. It makes me want to go back and watch Sex of the City and be like, It wasn't true of Sex and the City, was it? I don't even know.
Yeah. I think, I mean, writer's room changes, dynamics behind the scenes change. I think it was a different world then.
I also just think people bumped into each other on the street more.
Oh, yes.
So I think it just,
you mean
like,
character-wise. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you meant the writing.
No.
I was like, yeah, it was different.
No, but I do think that is true. But like, yeah, the amount of like, it's like, all right.
Yeah.
We get it. You've seen everything. It's also called New York City. Okay.
I do think you've hit on an interesting point, though, that makes it just like that, just a different experience. We make fun of Sex and the City being like, New York is the fifth character or like whatever, but like they do interact with the city in what I've seen of Sex and the City much more than they interact with the city and just like that. I mean, this show kind of could be filmed anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're here. I don't feel it.
Yeah, part of it is that I think like it just was easier back then because they were less known, and now it's like a fiasco to film anything. But it is sad. I feel like everything is a set and feels like a set. Like Carrie's house is a set. The bakery that they like eat in all the time is a set on a New York street corner, ?
Yeah.
I agree that it's a little removed. And so these sort of like, whoa-ohs happening in your own house is like, all right, well, I don't know. You live there.
Yeah.
Are we ready for the beast? Are we ready for the dragon?
Let me stretch. Here, let's take a minute to stretch. Everyone who's listening, just stand up if you're sitting.
Mm-hmm.
If you're walking, just like to actually just stop, stretch your arms, touch your neck, roll it around, roll it the other way. Okay. All right. We're present. We're grateful. Let's do
Okay.
this.
Kind words from our Lord and Savior, Brene Brown. Carrie's at home looking like Heidi. I didn't even write that joke. Michael Patrick King did in the podcast.
Yeah, she does. I think I said, why is she wearing a petticoat? Boo. Is the note that I have.
It's because her fantasy is going to be ruined, Emily. Don't you see it?
Enough.
Okay, she's looking for Aiden, and sure enough, he is having a garden chat with Duncan, and she is pissed. Then we get a hard cut because we can't possibly see her join the conversation. Mm-hmm. And we cut back to the three of them in the garden. We get this weird thing where Aiden's like, I went to London for a day to see Chippendales. And then he's like, oh, the furniture, not the male strippers. I'm like, okay. Then Aiden starts picking a fight about why Duncan is a pipe guy. I think Duncan actually gives a really logical explanation here that was like kind of nice and kind of grounded. And then they slapped the metaphorical pipe out of his mouth, being like, it's a nipple. Like, okay. You ruined it. You ruined it.
Poor Duncan. I really want Carrie to make the moves on him and him to actually be like, you know what? I'm actually not interested. I did just want you to read my book.
Yeah, bye, girl. Good to know ya. Then we get maybe the weirdest sort of like cockfight moment of all time, where Aiden's like, some people don't like the smell, referring to himself. And then Duncan's like, oh, you sound like my wife. And he's like, oh, you're married. He's like, oh, well, my ex-wife. And then he's like, oh, do you have kids? And Duncan's like, no. And he's like, well, my kids are the best thing I ever did with my ex. Weird. I don't even know what I'm supposed to intuit from the tea leaves of this.
What we're supposed to intuit is the boys are fighting over Carrie. Aiden's being possessive.
I love when he goes, ask Carrie, she'll tell you. I'm like, you know what she'll tell you? That horror show that was fucking apples to apples. That's what she's fucking telling you.
A rake was thrown at my face because I said Walmart was Mystique or something in apples to apples.
And also, he was a terrible father. Sorry.
I had to smuggle medication to his child that clearly needed some help, and he like basically smacked it out of my hand and was like, "He's gonna paint a house."
The same child who refuses to live with him.
Yes.
Again.
Yes.
And by the way, I didn't realize I totally didn't know that Ozzy Osbourne was the Prince of Darkness. I think I just like heard that phrase and never associated it with him.
Okay.
So then we taped our episode where I called Wyatt the Prince of Darkness, and then Ozzy died a day later while we were editing. And then we uploaded it, and I was like, this is kind of magical.
Wow.
And then I was like, did I wish upon his death?
Did we do that?
Did we do it? Just kidding. I mean, truly, Ozzy, nothing but good things to say. But it was kind of funny where I was like watching all the news reports, and they were like, the Prince of Darkness. And I was like, I'm sorry, I only know of one, and his name is Wyatt Anakin Shaw.
Yes, exactly. That is our Prince of Darkness. Well, okay, R.I.P. Ozzy. I hope this is a fitting tribute to a genuinely very impactful and great man. And anyway, Wyatt Anakin.
Wyatt Anakin Shaw carries on your name.
I forgot about that.
Carrie basically is like, Aiden, you're embarrassing me, and gets up and leaves. Great. Carrie then, as I said, earlier, she goes to see Sema, and then she's like, I could not have drawn a clearer boundary, which...
Here we go. All right.
Okay, it was a little muddled, girl. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. Maybe this is where we talk about this. I don't know where's the right time to talk about this. Here's where I want to talk about it. Okay.
Drop it.
Here's the problem with this breakup to me, and why I don't actually feel emotional catharsis when it happens, even though I have been begging for this to happen for ages.
Sweet release of death.
The sweet release of death. When it is finally visited upon me, I cannot stand and cheer, because the writers have so muddied the waters on this relationship and the boundaries and the rules and where people stand and whatever, that like I kind of don't know what to feel at this point. We're going to talk about Aiden's behavior later, but at this point I'm like, I could not draw a clearer boundary. This is clearly an invasion. Like, this is supposed to be Aiden crossing the line. But to me, it's like, the problem here was maybe Aiden doing this weird cockfight thing with Duncan. It wasn't him talking to Duncan. And Carrie's obsessed with this thing of like, how dare he speak to my neighbor when I told him not to speak to my neighbor. And like, I'm sitting here being like, I don't want to defend Aiden Shaw on this podcast, but you can't talk to the neighbor. That is a weird, confusing boundary. What is the boundary? I mean, I don't actually know what it is. Is it you can't speak to him ever? You can't talk to him about your... Like, what is the thing, actually, that he has upset Carrie with? Because, like, instead of being like, oh, and then he went on talking about his kids, and he was clearly jealous and trying to... She's upset about this boundary thing, and she harps on this. And I'm like, it's kind of unreasonable, if I'm being honest, to expect your boyfriend to just never talk to your neighbor and coworker. That's very odd.
I feel like they position it... Two things. One, I feel like they position it as like Aiden being overly neighborly. And I feel like what she should have said is like, Duncan is not our friend. Like, Duncan is like my coworker. And so we can't be having friendship dinners with Duncan because he's my coworker. I feel like is how this should have been framed. And instead it's framed as, you say, literally, don't look at him. And he is right there. I mean, like, yeah, Aiden definitely, as they get into their fight later, like, yeah, I'm sure he was waiting on the terrace for Duncan to come out, because I think he did want to sniff out Duncan, because I think that that's really suspicious.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, it is the teenager thing of like, well, don't look at the humans, Ariel. And it's like, well, sorry. Now you've piqued my interest. Like,
now I want to look at nothing but the humans.
In that vacuum, I, like Aiden, am like waiting for Duncan on the terrace too, because I'm like, who is this freak? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you spend hours with.
Yeah. Like, if Carrie hadn't made this weird rule and situation, we totally could have had this plot of Aiden being really weird and jealous over nothing. But like, we accidentally... I say accidentally because I really don't think the writers meant to do this. I think we accidentally gave him justification for being like, I want to see what his deal is because you are acting very strange.
I feel like what should have happened is they should have gone out to lunch and then Duncan just shows up. And he's like, oh, Aiden invited me. That is like crazy violent of a boundary. But like him running into him in the backyard and being friendly like isn't unreasonable, because like, am I not supposed to wave at him? Like, again, I do believe in the Aiden justification of the subconscious of like trying to, suss this guy out for sure.
Yeah.
But to your point, it accidentally, I feel like he should have done something more sort of violently intentional.
Yes.
Which is like, why the fuck would Duncan be here right now? I told you he's my coworker. He's not my friend. He doesn't want to be my friend. Whatever.
Yeah, I think that's great. I love the idea you had. Like, Aiden makes them a lunch. Carrie's like excited. They skip down to the garden to have their lunch, and then Duncan pulls up a seat. And she looks a little bit awkward because she's like, I'm on a date with Aiden. And Aiden's like, no, it's okay. I invited him. And then Carrie is the one who's like, wait,
called
what the heck is
him
going
up
on?
and brought him here. Like, that was like, to me, a clear boundary violation.
Yeah.
And then she admits to cheating on him with John. And I was like, who the fuck is that? Put
did
some
have a bullet
respect on his name.
I did have a bullet point that's just quote John, unquote. What was that? Anyway.
And then Sema, rightfully so, is like, you have to talk to him about this. And Carrie's like, no, like, he just got here and I'm so happy. I'm like, sure, girl. This is also what I'd like to say. I listened to the writers podcast, and remember how last episode we talked about how they were like feuding about whether Aiden was manipulating her or not. And it was like, it got to a point where it was like, mommy and daddy are fighting, and now I don't know what was the written intention.
Yes.
They got into another mommy and daddy fight here about the boundary or whatever, because Michael Patrick King was basically like, I mean, Aiden's a neighborly guy, is just being friendly. And all the women were like, no. And I was like, okay, but you wrote it in the script. So like, what am I supposed to believe?
God. That is, yeah. I mean, I'm just going to repeat everything we literally just said, but that is exactly it. The muddied waters. Like, I'm feeling, I cannot feel the catharsis of this because one of your head writer and showrunner believes a totally different thing happened, and they're showing me him just being neighborly. And meanwhile, we have all this, like, subtext that we have to, like, work with and just kind of assume, yeah, he probably was lurking on the terrace to, like, suss him out. It's like we're filling in gaps because they didn't. What do you want from us?
Yeah, I know. Like, you don't want me to think, and yet you do.
You spell out everything else. You know what I mean? You have Sema being like, I guess I'll try it. Where's my deodorant? I want Aiden being like, let's see what this guy's made out of.
Yeah, like an evil witch in the window.
That's where Wyatt gets it from.
Yeah, I mean, like father, like son. Apple don't fall from the tree. Am I right? Apples to apples. Okay.
Apples to apples don't fall from the tree to tree.
So Carrie and Duncan are going over their notes for the book. The writers' podcast was so funny because they were like, we wanted to make it clear there was no flirting and it was about the work. I'm like, okay.
Okay, but we just already saw the party.
Yeah, like
you cannot gaslight us like this. We can't just pretend that every episode exists in a vacuum.
Then Aiden stops by and he's like, I got T-bone steaks to fire up for you two. The three of us can eat them together because you need a break. And Carrie's like, no, it ain't like that. And he's like, all right, well, whenever you're ready, I'll just cook them up. And she's like, okay, but we're going to be here late. And then he's like, I'll wait. I don't want to eat alone. And she's like, okay, well, it's going to be late. So sucks to suck. Then we cut to Carrie coming back upstairs post the writing session. This is where we see one of the biggest wastes of all time, which is that he just left the meat out. Excuse me, put that in the fridge.
I mean, what in the bacteria is that about? Are you crazy? Are you crazy?
I get that you're mad, but don't be wasteful. The planet, that cow, question mark, is that what a T-bone steak is?
Yeah.
Who knows? That cow died.
Yeah, for this.
And you let it rot for, what did I say? 2 steaks, fully seasoned, never cooked. I mean, come on.
Justice for that cow.
Justice for Moo Moo. I mean, if I was PETA, I'd be putting a full page ad about this episode. Hoping to tank the stock Peloton style. Okay.
If I'm PETA, I'm throwing rocks in that ancient window.
I'm breaking every single window pane. No rainbows for you, girl. Okay. She thanks him for understanding, gets in the bed, and then he just waits a dramatic pause and then goes, get away from me. Go take a shower. You know how I hate the smoke smell. This is where I feel like I need to come in because you didn't get to watch the proper Sex in the City Aiden Carrie relationship yet. But the smoking is a big thing. Okay. And I think he associates the smoking with Mr. Big, who unfortunately is dead, like, as a concept in this show. So it's even weirder. So it is a crazy Let me put it this way. He is being crazy.
Yeah.
But also it's not foreign to them.
Okay. This doesn't totally... I guess this has more baggage than just, oh, it's my personal preference to whatever. Yes. But yeah, yes. He's just trying to hurt her feelings.
For sure. Yeah. And then she showers but sleeps in the guest room and is basically like, fuck off. I don't want to see you tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. So then the next morning, Aiden is making breakfast and Carrie comes downstairs. She's still clearly pissed. She's like, I'm going to go for a walk. And he's like, what, are you still mad? And she's like, yeah, I am. And he's like, well, then I'm mad too. And then she starts pushing him on like, why were you on the terrace? And then sort of pushes the point that we said, which is like, you're trying to suss out Duncan. And then he's like, well, now I'm going for a walk. And then she's like, no, I'm going for a walk. And then he's like, go for a fucking walk. I hate the smell of smoke. And Jen just sort of mutters to himself in the kitchen. This, if you thought this was weird, because it was, it's a callback. Okay. Because they have a big fight in the original show, and Aiden says, or Carrie's like, I'm going for a walk, and then Aiden says, no, I'm going for a walk. And see, it's reversed.
Oh, come on.
I didn't even catch that. I heard that on the writers podcast, and I was like, oh, okay, well,
this sucks.
She's looking crazy though, screaming, oh no, I'm going for a walk. I'm like, all right.
I also just find this kind of writing super boring, is like just repeating a thing that happened before and pretending it's really intentional and clever. It's like, this actually isn't like eye-opening of like the roles have reversed. This is just like, you're just pulling from an older thing.
Yeah. It's just regurgitated.
Like, yeah.
But then we get Carrie at Bergdorf's and we get our Andy Cohen cameo. Yay.
Yay. I can't believe I actually wanted more from him, though, because I cannot believe it, Marina. I was just so happy to see him, and I've never said that about Andy Cohen ever in my life.
I know.
I think I've been so miserable.
Literally same. I was like, oh my God. I was like, a cameo that's like actually fun. And then all they did was give him a name because he didn't have a name in the original show, and that was it.
What was his name?
Daniel.
Okay.
I'm like, we couldn't even give him like a one-off line that's like, I don't know, I've got a 5-inch stiletto with your name on it. Something.
Yeah, I don't know. But just like, no time, whatever. And you're like, oh, whatever. There he goes. Okay, well.
Okay. They're like, Andy Cohen could only give us 10 minutes, so.
He could just walk through this building, and he just walked out of the building right after that shot. He just kept going.
Honestly, probably.
He had places to be.
So then she gets a text from Aiden, and he's like, lunch 2 p.m. They meet up. And basically, he admits to having trust issues. He says, I have trust issues. And Carrie's like, don't you mean had? And he's like, why are you nitpicking me? And she's like, I'm not. It's about how, you're revealing how you feel. And basically, it's a sequence of yelling. She's like, I've done nothing. I've been clean this time, essentially. And then he's like, can you blame me? And she's like, stop fucking blaming me. And I love this part here because right as they kind of get up and walk over to the side to like continue the fight, you hear somebody go, Saltzman, party of 5? And listening to the writers podcast, Michael Patrick King makes a point about how this breakup needed to be in public because in private, it probably wouldn't have happened. And then I realized Michael Patrick King's School of Filmmaking, he put Saltzman, party of 5 to illustrate that they're in a public place.
I was wondering why that line was really loud. And the explanation doesn't make me feel satisfied. So, okay.
That's the only explanation I have because, again, it's so loud.
Like, I thought someone was saying it to them. I was like, who? Wow, it's the DHL guy. Wow, so romantic.
Wow, so romantic. Saltzman, party of 5? Is that couple breaking up in public? So Carrie says, I was fully committed to you. I was 100% in. And he's like, was? Don't you mean is? And she's like, no, I mean was. And then she's like, I can't give you any more than I have. And it wasn't enough. And then I also love how she goes, and the family stuff.
Yeah.
Call him by his name. Yeah. I also am like, sorry, isn't this scene missing like Mr. Big is dead?
Yes.
It was missing the line of like, I get your thing with Duncan, but like James John Preston, whatever the fuck his name is dead.
Yes.
I am invested in you.
Yes.
I'm like, where was, again, it's like we are clamoring for, I wanted the episode to end with her putting up the framed picture of Big and the framed picture of Aiden and then changing her password to Big and Aiden. Yeah, she didn't do it and I'm fucking mad.
Big and Aiden being the security code is so funny.
I mean, come on, it writes itself.
Actually, she went back and she changed her security code. Petrovsky.
That would be actually a good callback. Jesus.
Thank you for saying that. Hats off to you. Big poofy stupid hat off to you.
Thank you.
Also, that's a perfect segue into what I was going to say about this, which is like, there's the thing. It's frustrating because there's an unsaid thing, and like, yeah, you're never going to have a perfect breakup where you all say the perfect things or whatever. But there is something kind of frustrating where it's like, what the reason this relationship was like doomed from the start, I felt, was because there is a hole here that cannot be filled. Like, Aiden has always been second to Big, and he's not okay with that. And now that Big is dead, there is no opportunity for Carrie to ever choose Aiden over Big. That physically cannot happen. And that is like what Aiden needs to happen to feel secure. It's just never going to happen ever. So like, this was doomed from the start because it's not, I think it's even more than just like not trusting her with cheating in general or whatever. It's like, I feel like it's Big specific. You know what I mean? That has never been addressed though, because we can't talk about Big anymore. We don't talk about Bruno on season 3 of And Just Like That. We call him John and we generally pretend he doesn't exist. He doesn't really come up in, he doesn't come up in this breakup, as you pointed out. And it's like, we kind of sort of missed what the issue was, I think, at the heart of this that doomed this relationship. And I think that's sort of disappointing. But again, we can't say Big's name, so bygones.
I started this podcast off in a very poetic way, and you are ending us on a very poetic way because I didn't even think about it like that. Like, I'm clamoring here for Mr. Big because that's my thing now. And also, I do think it is painfully missing from the scene. Yeah. But I think you put it in such a beautiful way, which is like, yeah, whether you're an Aiden stan or not, at the end of the day, he always came second. And like, he will never be first because he will, you know what I mean? Mr. Big had to die for him to squeeze in there. Like, I totally agree. I think that would have been much more interesting to explore. And honestly, it made me sit because we've never really talked about this. Like, we talk about the frame of Mr. Big missing, but like, how is this not just a bigger part of their whole relationship? Like, he has the thing that he won't go in the apartment, which is why she moves to the big house. But like, I don't know. I feel like we could have put this in a bit more. There could have been an episode where she debated about putting a frame up or not. Like I feel like we needed to season 1 is good because it is her, or at least her side of it, sort of, right? It's good because it's like her coping with the loss of this big hole. And then you put it so poetically being like, and the hole never closes. Like, you can heal and you can move on, but like, especially between them and their history all tied up in, I think you just really put it beautifully. And thank you. Listening to the writers' podcast that they don't even come close to saying something like that is embarrassing. It's embarrassing because you nailed it. Their whole thing is like, Aiden is controlling and has been controlling all along, which is true. And that's what we see with him and Wyatt. And obviously we see him here, but he doesn't try to be controlling of Carrie, at least in my opinion. I don't get that from him. But yeah, I think I'm just going to continue to go in a cycle of a hamster wheel, repeating what you said. Excellent. Yep.
This is why HBO, call us.
Beep bop boop.
Beep bop boop.
555-555-5552.
55555 was already taken.
Yeah. Well, he says, I'm sad. She says, I'm sad too. And they hug it out. Although she gives us a little creepy Annabelle, like look to camera. She doesn't hug him back. Did you notice when they do the wide shot, he's hugging her and her arms are flat down.
I didn't notice that.
I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on there.
I wanted to hear what you were going to say about that evil little grin face.
I
was like, the Wyatt has transferred this.
Yeah. The soul has got into her eyes. Yeah, both times I was like, again, I don't know what I'm supposed to infer from here.
Yeah.
Other than I guess she hated him all along. Great.
Yeah, or she's like, Aiden is sad. She's mostly mad, maybe. I'm not really sure. I don't really know. But
and we'll never know.
Taylor Swift, play us out, I guess.
Yeah, oh my God. How much money do you think they paid for this?
I was thinking about that, the whole sequence.
I literally watched a TikTok the other day, and apparently Mark Maron's new special, which I'm front row to watch, surprise, ends with a Taylor Swift song. And he talks about how like he was trying to get the song for free, or like he was like trying to get the best discount he could, and like messaged Jack Antonoff being like, hey, could you help me? And Jack Antonoff was like, yeah, sure. And then never answered the text ever again. And he ended up having to pay $50,000 for the song at the end of the special. And he was talking about how like he had to pour some of his own money into that. Like the ticket sales helped to sort of cover it, but like it was like a huge part essentially of his entire tour was to pay off this Taylor Swift song. And that's all I could think about as it played, as it soared. But probably knowing them, they're probably friends. I'm sure Andy Cohen, is he friends with her? I don't know, probably, question mark.
There must be some connection, or maybe to Antonoff or Qualley or something, you know what I mean? Margaret Qualley is in that. So there's some sort of circle connection, because like, I mean, even for HBO, like, we can't be dropping $50,000 to play an entire Taylor Swift song. Something's going on. Somebody investigate this.
Well, she takes her Virginia postcards off the door and doesn't put up a picture of Big. Okay. And then she goes out on the town looking hot, bustier and everything. Mm-hmm. And some people have speculated that the sweater she's wearing is Duncan's sweater.
Whoa.
People have put up reference pictures. I'm like, given the fact that the preview is like them still becoming friends, I feel like that's a little too sudden. But if that is true, then what the fuck is going on in this show?
That would be a very aggressive way to make that step in their relationship to happen off screen and in subtext. So I don't think so. It also fits her pretty tightly, and she's petite. Duncan is a full-grown man. I don't think that's a sweater.
Yeah.
She owns sweaters, guys. She can have sweaters.
She can have sweaters. So then we end on another dumb voiceover where Carrie's like, the woman realized that they were still locked in the past, and the woman knew that meant they had no future. What is this woman going through in this book?
Yeah, it's like all we know is that she just lives in a house and says things like, I'm ready for whatever adventure the day brings me, and then like doesn't go on an adventure.
And then like it's like into the unknown.
Yeah. Then she just like goes downstairs to get a yogurt. Yeah, they really can't think of anything to do with this woman thing. I don't know. I mean, this is also just, it's as literal. It's so literal every time. Like it's so funny. It's like her when she's in Virginia. It's like the woman in a strange new land didn't know what was next. It's like, yeah, because she's in Virginia, and the episode's ending, and now it's like. After the breakup, where she decided to move on from her ex, the past was done, so they had no future. You know what I mean? It's like, we just have to say the thing that happened, because this is the Michael Patrick King School of Writing.
Filmmaking.
Filmmaking. Sad. Yeah, I want to know what this woman is going through in the 1846.
It's fiction, Emily. It's set in 1846.
Fiction.
I don't know. All I know is that the preview showed that Steve is in the next episode, which made me happy. But apparently Brady tells Miranda and Steve something jarring that they don't like. So,
oh no. What do we think it is, Marina?
What do we think it is? Well, it's like he already isn't going to college.
Oh, that's right. Gosh, I forgot.
Like, is he just gonna like become a Greenpeace hippie? Do kids do that anymore? Maybe he's gonna try and become an influencer. Oh,
we last saw him in like a kitchen somewhere.
So right now he's working at the bar, at Steve's bar.
Oh, okay.
Because he didn't want to go to college. And so what I'm thinking is that here he still doesn't want to go to college because their reaction is negative.
Yeah.
And it's got to be like he's moving to some place that doesn't want him.
Yeah, that's probably it. He's like, I'm going to go study, fry cookery in whateverville. And they're going to be like, what?
In the Netherlands.
In the Netherlands. In Amsterdam or whatever he was.
And that's the episode. We end all our podcasts the same with our high and our low, our rose and our thorn. Emily, we'll start with the negative. What was your diarrhea of this episode?
Woof. I think my diarrhea is Chris Jackson calling LTW to inform her that he has gained a singular pound.
Stupid. My diarrhea will be the fact that the girls absolutely forsaked Charlotte and Harry, especially after Rock went off about community matters and then turned right around and committed elder abuse. So think about that next time you're organizing your little protests.
I get that. Your little freaking protests. But she seems to have cured because she's at the dinner scene at the end. Magically. Charlotte's there.
Oh, yes. Next episode, she's just like alive and well. You're right. So congrats.
Congrats on that.
What was your high? What was your release the Kraken?
We might have the same one, so I apologize in advance. But I was going to say Miranda's scene with Joy.
I mean, that was really the only good scene. God, I'm like flipping through.
Just going through the notes and making faces. Like, God, what can I do with this?
None of this was good. Oh, I'll do Anthony's one good line. Which is, I think you need to find a good therapist. No, Annie? I think that was great.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for your time. Okay, we have 3 episodes left. 3 episodes left, people. How are they going to wrap it up? How are they going to pooch the bag on Duncan? Tune in next time.
I'm already tired, and we haven't even started the Duncan relationship yet. I'm already exhausted.
God. And it just ultimately my thing with Duncan is like he's a fine character. I wish he had been here at the start of the season, but ultimately a step down from Big.
Yes, agreed. Step down from Big. I think he's totally fine. He's like inoffensive to me, but he doesn't really have much of a personality other than the fact that he's British. Like they started him as a curmudgeon, but then quickly kind of 180'd that because we need him and Carrie to get along. So he kind of is left with nothing. He's just kind of a normal guy. He feels like a guy that just wandered onto the set by accident and doesn't really know why he's here. And so he's fine. But
can't wait to see that wrap up.
The thrill.
Well, if you are crawling through this season like we are and you need a big pick-me-up and you still want it to be Sex and the City themed, go on over to our YouTube at Sister Pigs and watch us play Baldur's Gate, the video game. You can Google it. As the 4 main characters of Sex and the City, as we remember them, as they should be remembered. Until next time, bye.